Everyone fled from the alien dragon hatchling, except the human girl who touched its heart. 1,500 words. They called it the Black Star Scourge. The hatchling had been found in the wreckage of an alien warship that crash-landed near the outskirts of Outpost Era. The ship was ancient and pulsing with dormant energy, but it wasn't a wreck that frightened the salvage team. It was what they found inside the obsidian egg chamber. A living infant dragon, black-scaled and horned, with eyes like molten gold and a heartbeat that rattled the floor. People whispered it wasn't a baby. It was a weapon, a living extinction, a god of death, still learning to breathe. It hadn't hurt anyone yet, but that didn't stop the fear. The council sealed it in Containment Bay 6. Guards posted. Lights dimmed. No one dared enter. Scientists argued over whether it should be studied, sedated, or, quietly, destroyed, except for a girl named Elari. Elari was 12, barefoot more often than not, and known around the outpost as the Quiet One. She spoke little, but wandered everywhere. Her father, a mechanic, worked on the lower levels fixing faulty pipes and gravity dampeners. Her mother had vanished with the last supply run. No one really noticed Elari until the dragon came. She first heard its cries at night. Not loud, more like vibrations. A pulse in the air, low and aching, like a heart beating with nowhere to go. She asked her father about it. They found something dangerous, he muttered, not meeting her eyes. Don't go near Base 6. But Elari wasn't afraid. She was curious. It was the third night when she slipped past the guards. They were drowsy and distracted. Everyone assumed no one would be stupid enough to sneak into containment chamber. Elari was small. She slipped through the ventilation shaft and lowered herself onto the observation deck. That was when she saw it. The hatchling sat in the middle of the room, surrounded by glowing force fields and flickering barriers. It looked nothing like the monsters from the vids. It was coiled tightly, wings shivering, tail wrapped protectively around itself. It looked lonely and terrified. She pressed her hand to the observation glass. The dragon's eyes snapped open, golden fire and fury. But it didn't attack. It stared at her, and something inside Elari shifted. She returned the next night. This time, she brought food. She snuck in every evening, always after curfew, always quiet. The hatchling never approached, not at first, but began watching her with more than suspicion. It tilted its head when she spoke. Its spines relaxed. Its tail uncurled just a little. She started calling it Nyx. Because you're dark like the night, she whispered one night, holding up her fingers to the glass. But I don't think you're bad. Nyx didn't respond, but the next night, he crept closer. When the scientists finally noticed the force field logs, patterns showing the dragon reacting only to Elari's presence, they panicked. This is unnatural, one said. It's manipulating her. But Elari's father stood up for her. She's the only one it doesn't snarl at. She's just a child. Exactly, he said. Maybe that's why I trust her. They let her enter once. She walked into the room alone. The guards watched, fingers on triggers. Nyx stood as tall as a hover truck now. He hissed when the door opened, until he saw her. Hi, Nyx, she said gently, hands open. He blinked, slow and deep, then lowered his head. She pressed her hand to his snout. Warm, thunder beneath scale. Everyone watching froze. But Nyx didn't attack. He purred. From that day on, Elari became his caretaker, his bond, his heart. He let no one else near. Only the girl. Trouble came 3 weeks later. A destroyer-class vessel from the Galactic Bureau arrived, cold in chrome and bristling with weapons. They scanned Nyx's DNA. The readings terrified them. His genetic pattern matches weapons of mass extinction used during the War of the 12 Suns. The agent declared, He's not a creature. He's a time bomb. We don't know that, the lead scientist argued. But it didn't matter. The order was signed. Termination scheduled. 0600 hours. Elari heard her father arguing with the guards at night. She didn't wait. She ran. Bay 6. The chamber. Nix lifted his head as the doors hissed open. Her face was red with tears. "They're going to kill you," she choked. Nix let out a low whine. "I'm going to get you out." She hadn't planned anything, but she didn't need to, because when she reached out, Nix moved first. He touched her forehead with the tip of his snout, and the room shook. Energy exploded outward, not destructive, but alive. The force field shattered like glass, not from strength, but from rejection. The walls bent. Sirens screamed. But Elari stood still. Nix stood taller. His wings unfurled. Fully, for the first time, people ran. The Bureau's soldiers aimed their weapons. And then Nix spoke, not with words, but with thought, with light. His voice filled every mind in the outpost. "She touched my heart. You touched me with fear. I choose her." The soldiers dropped their guns, eyes wide in shock. Elari stood beside him, and Nix lowered his wing. She climbed onto his back, and together, they flew through the shattering dome into the stars. They never found them, but across colonies and moons, there were stories of a pale-skinned girl riding a black-winged shadow across burning skies, of a bond so deep it could break fear, a legend of a dragon that spared a world, not because of peace, but because of a girl who refused to run. The end. Ask ChatGPT.